caught on video. Tonight, heartbroken family members are pleading for help to find the driver who took off.
And then a week of whiplash weather ahead. We're going to begin with summer-like temperatures and then end with rain. Your work week forecast now on the News at 10. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the News at 10. I'm Rick Chambers.
And I'm Creed Winter. We start with breaking news. Relief could soon come for millions of Americans who've struggled through the longest government shutdown in U.S. history.
Yeah, the Senate takes the key first step to advance legislation to reopen the government. Now, 8 Democratic senators joined Republicans tonight to pass a spending agreement that would fund the government through the end of January. And while the deal includes funding for SNAP and WIC benefits, many of the Democrats are angry because the spending plan does not extend the Affordable Care subsidies that Americans depend on for health care.
But there are still significant hurdles to come. Lindsay Pena joins us live from the KTLA News Center with tonight's major developments. Lindsay.
Corrine and Rick, the Senate will have to go through a series of procedures before the bill officially passes. Then it'll have to go to the House of Representatives. Members are currently out of town, and it's unclear exactly when a vote will be held. But many are optimistic this is the beginning of the end.
The motion upon reconsideration is agreed to.
Sunday night's Senate vote signaling the longest government shutdown in U.S. history is one step closer to being over.
Today, the Senate voted to start reopening the government.
After weeks without progress, the breakthrough came after a group of 8 Senate Democrats reached a deal with Senate GOP leaders and the White House.
I joined this group to make sure that we could get important protections for federal employees.
They agreed to vote to reopen the government, provided there be a future vote on extending Affordable Care Act subsidies, the major sticking point between the two parties right now. The deal would include a brief stopgap measure to fund the government until January and fund SNAP and other benefits for the entire fiscal year. The legislation also reverses mass firings of federal workers during the government shutdown. After another Senate vote to pass the bill, it will move on to the House for yet another vote. Already, House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries saying that he and other House Democrats will oppose the legislation. But Republicans only need a simple majority, which they have.
Republicans can actually vote for this and put it on through without Democratic support in the House. The Senate was the hang-up because in the Senate, there had to be a 60-vote margin, not a 51-vote margin, because of filibuster.
While Senate Majority Leader John Thune has agreed to hold a vote on an extension of Affordable Care Act tax credits, there's no guarantee it would pass.
Totally hoping that their trust will be justified because Republicans are not enthusiastic about voting for those subsidies.
Until a bill is signed by the president, SNAP benefits remain in legal limbo, with some states suing to force the federal government to fund the program. The Supreme Court issued a ruling allowing the Trump administration to continue withholding money, but if the current deal is approved, all of the back and forth could be over.
These legal cases largely go away. There are still some questions as to whether or not the federal government would follow through with essentially threats to say to the states that they either need to give back some of the money that was funded over the weekend and or pay penalties.
If this bill continues to move forward, it'll still take several days for the government to actually reopen and funding to start flowing again. That's the latest from the News Center. Lindsay Pena, KTLA 5 News. Back to you guys in the studio.
Yeah, we'll see what next week brings. Lindsay, thank you. And now a live look at LAX, one of the busiest airports in the country. It is one of 40 airports across the U.S. now facing flight restrictions because of severe staffing shortages. 89 flights were canceled, 376 delayed. Air travelers here are certainly feeling the pain at the airport.
What happened to you this morning?
I got here and I was about a second away from checking in, and I found out my flight was canceled. So I've rebooked to another airline, but the flight's not till 12 hours from now. So hopefully I can make it to Tampa. I hope so.
How frustrating.
Yeah, it's frustrating for sure, yeah. So.
How long is this shutdown going to last and affect all these travelers through the holidays?
Yeah, I hope it gets opened up soon, because this is really, you know, you take it for granted just be able to jump on a flight, but, you know, when you can't do it, it sucks.
The cuts in thousands of flights are being made due to mounting pressure on the country's air traffic controllers and screeners who are currently working without pay.
As I look 2 weeks out, as we get closer to Thanksgiving travel, listen, I think what's going to happen is you're going to have air travel slow to a trickle. As everyone wants to travel to see their families, I think we're going to see air traffic controllers, very few of them coming to work. The thousands of flights that happen every day to move people around the country for this great American holiday, it's not going to happen.
A bit of good news here. LAX was not hit as hard as other airports throughout the country. Just 3% of its flights were canceled today. 23% were canceled at New York's LaGuardia Airport.
Meanwhile, President Trump saying that each American's going to get a tariff dividend of at least $2,000. In fact, he posted on social media today saying that the dividend will be paid to everyone, but not high-income people. He also says that those that are against tariffs are, quote, fools. There are no specifics on this plan, and a proposal like that would likely need to be passed by Congress. This summer, legislation introduced in the Senate would give $600 rebates to almost all Americans and their dependent children, but that bill is still in a committee.
In other news tonight, a heartbroken family is speaking out after their loved one was killed in a hit-and-run crash while riding their motorcycle, and it was captured by a nearby security camera. The crash happened on October 12th near 92nd Street and South Broadway at around 3 in the morning.
Now, Jillian Smuckler has more on a story that you'll see only here on 5.
The crash happened at this intersection nearly a month ago, and despite this liquor store having surveillance cameras and actually catching it on camera, the man who hit and killed him still hasn't been found. The surveillance video is only a few seconds long, but it shows a lot. You see a red car heading down Broadway when it suddenly stops in the middle of the road, causing a motorcycle rider to crash. The brutal impact sends the rider flying, and the driver takes off.
You know what happened, but you still didn't even try to reach out for help.
That rider, 46-year-old Ernest Delsey, was left lying in the road, dead.
He's such a good person. He wasn't supposed to go like this.
The crash happened on October 12th, just before 3 a.m. But nearly a month later, his family says they're still waiting for answers as they continue to replay that tragic crash in their head.
Couldn't believe it. I didn't want it to be him there. Like, I didn't want him to be there. And it was really him. Like, I couldn't believe it.
Ernest is described as a devoted father.
He's been there for every football game, every practice, every tournament that I've been through. So he's been there a lot.
A loving big brother.
He did everything for us. It wasn't nothing we couldn't want or ask for, and we couldn't go to him and receive it.
And has earned the title of favorite uncle. Your favorite? Why?
Because he will buy me stuff.
He not only impacted his family members' lives, but kids in the neighborhood, too.
And he purchased a van to make sure he pick up all the kids that couldn't get a ride to and from the games and practice.
Despite surveillance video of the crash, LAPD still has no description of the car and no leads.
I want justice. This is horrible. This is horrible. I don't wish this up on nobody.
His family says there was a car club event happening a few blocks away that night, and they're hopeful that this video pushes someone who was there to speak up.
He's the best. He's the best ever. Ever.
So if you saw what happened or you have any information on this crash, you're asked to call LAPD. Reporting in South Central, Jillian Smuckler, KTLA 5 News.
Yeah, this was a mess. A car crashing into a fire hydrant in Sun Valley this morning, sending that geyser up into the air. The accident was reported about 11 o'clock. This is near the intersection of San Fernando Road and Sunland Boulevard. The firefighters, as you can see, did eventually shut the water off. Took about an hour, though, to get it done. No injuries reported, thank goodness, and the cause of the crash still being looked into.
All right, let's bring in Kai. From record heat to some rain, we could see a mixed bag next week, right?
Yeah, and I'm sure the firefighters actually were a little refreshed. Yeah. The water was about 90 out there in the Sylmar area this afternoon. And yes, Karine just alluded to the fact that not only was it hot throughout Sylmar, the San Fernando Valley, but record heat throughout Southern California on this fall Sunday afternoon. Hello, everybody. Hope you had a great weekend. And take a look outside right now. We've got some great temperatures, very comfortable. But again, we saw Woodland Hills a record high high today at about 97 degrees. Out to the Coachella Valley, Palm Springs, they saw 95. And again, these are all records. We'll go over them more when I come back with the extended forecast. But again, 50s and 60s currently. And what we're seeing outside this Sunday night is the marine layer.